Today is March 17th, 2026. Welcome back to Know Me Go channel. Let's start with what might be the wildest governance experiment we've seen so far. Story 1. Hong Kong's governed AI agent network ClawNet. This news comes from the South China Morning Post Tech, published March 16th, 2026. Hong Kong is about to launch what it's calling the world's first open-source governed human AI agent collaboration network named ClawNet. It's being developed by the Hong Kong Generative AI Research and Development Center, or HKGAI. The idea is, instead of everyone spinning up random autonomous agents that can do who knows what, ClawNet is designed so AI agents only do things that are allowed. Think of it as an operating system and rulebook for AI agents that can help with real everyday tasks like applying for schools, navigating government services, or even analyzing horse racing data, which is a big deal in Hong Kong. The timing here is key. ClawNet is launching amid a global OpenClaw frenzy. That's the broader ecosystem of autonomous AI claws or agents that can plan and act on your behalf across the internet. So while the open source world rushes to build more capable agents, Hong Kong is trying to be first to build a structured, governed network around them. Keep that in mind, because governed agents and infrastructure for agents is a theme that pops up several times today. Story 2. NVIDIA and Roche scale AI factories for drug discovery. Next up, AI is quietly transforming pharma at massive scale. This news comes from the NVIDIA blog, published March 16th, 2026. NVIDIA announced that Roche, one of the world's largest healthcare companies, is rolling out what they're calling AI factories globally, powered by more than 3,500 NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs. These aren't just clusters for one team. Roche is embedding this infrastructure across its entire value chain, early-stage R&D, next-generation diagnostics, and even manufacturing. The goal is to massively increase R&D productivity. Think faster drug discovery, better diagnostic models, and smarter, more efficient production lines. Instead of running one-off experiments, Roche is building a permanent AI production line, and NVIDIA's Blackwell-based AI factories are the engine behind it. This ties into a broader pattern. NVIDIA is not just selling chips anymore. It's selling end-to-end factories, for AI and healthcare is becoming one of the flagship use cases. Story 3. NVIDIA DSX Air. Simulate an AI factory before you build it. Staying with NVIDIA for a moment. This news also comes from the NVIDIA blog, published March 16, 2026. At GTC 2026 Inches, San Jose, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang introduced NVIDIA DSX Air. It's part of the DSX platform, specifically DSX Sim. And the pitch is build and test your AI factory in simulation before you ever deploy it in the real world. According to NVIDIA, setting up AI factories used to take months. With DSX Air, they're claiming you can go from concept to deployment in days because you can design the architecture, simulate the workflows, stress test different configurations, and basically do a full dry run in a virtual environment. If you connect this back to Roche, you can see the pattern. DSX Air to design the factory, Blackwell GPUs to power it, and then domain-specific stacks for healthcare, robotics, or autonomous driving. Today's news is painting a very clear picture. AI development itself is becoming industrialized. We're not just training models. We're building factories that continuously produce and update them. Story 4. Mistral Small 4. One model for instructions, reasoning, and multimodal. Now, let's jump to the model side of the stack. This news comes from MarkTech Post AI News, published March 16, 2026. Mistral AI has released Mistral Small 4, a 119 billion parameter mixture of experts model. What's interesting is not just the size, but the consolidation. Mistral is positioning Small 4 as one model that unifies several previously separate workloads. According to MarkTech Post's coverage, Mistral Small 4 combines the roles of Mistral Small for instruction following, Magistral for reasoning, and Pixtral for multimodal understanding. In other words, instead of juggling multiple specialized models, one to follow instructions, one to reason, one to handle images, or multimodal inputs, you get a single deployment target that can do all three. That's a huge deal for developers and for AI agents. If you're building something like an OpenClaw agent, you don't want to maintain a zoo of models. You want one capable backbone that can read, reason, and see. So on one side, we've got NVIDIA industrializing the infrastructure. On the other, Mistral is trying to simplify the model layer with a unified MOE that can power a wide range of workloads, including agentic systems. Story 5. Physical AI for healthcare, robotics, datasets, and foundation models. Let's stick with healthcare, but move from virtual tokens to physical robots. This news comes from the Hugging Face blog, published March 16, 2026, in collaboration with NVIDIA. Hugging Face and NVIDIA are announcing what they describe as the first healthcare robotics dataset and foundational physical AI models specifically for healthcare robotics. Even though the summary is brief, the blog centers on creating standardized datasets and foundation models that can be used to train robots to operate safely and effectively in healthcare environments, think hospitals, clinics, elder care, and rehab. Why is this important? Up to now, most foundation models have been about language, images, and code. Physical AI robots that move through the world, handle objects, and interact with patients needs its own data and its own models. Healthcare is a perfect testbed, but also incredibly sensitive, so standardized, open resources matter a lot. Tie this back to the Roche AI factories, and you can see healthcare rapidly becoming a full-stack AI domain, from drug discovery in simulation to physical robots in hospitals, all anchored on NVIDIA's hardware and platforms, plus open ecosystems like Hugging Face. Story 6. NVIDIA wants to make OpenClaw agents easier with NemoClaw. Now, back to Agents to Claws. This news comes from CNET Tech News, published March 16, 2026. CNET reports that NVIDIA is rolling out something called NemoClaw, designed to make it easier for developers to create OpenClaw-style autonomous AI agents, the claws. Instead of everyone hacking together their own agent frameworks, NemoClaw aims to be a more accessible, standardized way to build these agents. It plugs into NVIDIA's broader NIM and Nemo ecosystem, making it simpler to connect models, orchestrate tools and APIs, and manage planning and execution for autonomous agents. Combine this with Hong Kong's ClawNet story from the South China Morning Post. On one side, NVIDIA is making it easier than ever to spin up powerful agents. On the other, a government-backed center in Hong Kong is trying to make sure those agents behave and are governed properly. We're watching a new layer of the internet being built in real time, networks of autonomous agents with both open source tools and policy frameworks racing to keep up. Story 7. NVIDIA is building computers for AI data centers in space. As if that wasn't enough NVIDIA for one day, let's go orbital. This news comes from CNET Tech News, published March 16, 2026. CNET reports that NVIDIA is working on a computer platform designed for AI data centers in space. Yes, literally in orbit. The big challenge? Cooling. Space is cold, but vacuum is actually terrible for getting rid of heat from high-performance chips. So NVIDIA and its partners are looking at specialized designs to manage thermal issues, radiation, and reliability in that environment. Why would you want AI data centers in space? Potential reasons include Earth observation, processing satellite imagery and sensor data directly in orbit, reduced latency for certain space-based services, and energy and environmental considerations. If solar and orbital positioning can be leveraged long-term. Put this next to DSX air and AI factories. NVIDIA's not just going bigger on Earth, they're literally extending the AI compute fabric off-planet. Story 8. NVIDIA and Bolt team up for European robotaxis. From space, let's come back down to the streets of Europe. This news comes from Engadget Tech News, published March 16, 2026. At GTC 2026, NVIDIA and Bolt, the European rideshare company, announced a partnership to build out robotaxis in Europe. Here's how Engadget breaks it down. Bolt will use NVIDIA Cosmos to curate and search its massive driving dataset. Using NVIDIA Omniverse, they'll reconstruct digital twins of real-world driving logs, basically virtual European cities and roads. Cosmos then helps generate and augment training data at scale. NVIDIA's Alpha Mayo model, tailored for autonomous vehicles, will learn how to drive safely in complex European environments. Finally, Bolt will integrate NVIDIA Drive Hyperion, NVIDIA's full AV hardware and software stack, into its autonomous vehicles. NVIDIA gets a huge customer and access to rich fleet data from European roads. Bolt gets a full-stack AV platform that would be almost impossible to build alone. Engadget also notes governance points. Bolt says all this data will comply with GDPR, and they plan to provide open-source access to parts of the dataset for European universities and small and medium-sized businesses. So again, same pattern. Full-stack AI factories for a vertical, in this case autonomous driving, with simulation, data, models, and hardware all tied together. Story 9. Encyclopedia Britannica sues OpenAI over memorizing content. Let's pivot to the legal and ethical side of AI. This news comes from The Verge AI, published March 16, 2026. The Verge reports that Encyclopedia Britannica and Merriam-Webster have filed a lawsuit against OpenAI. The core allegation: OpenAI used their copyrighted content to train its models, and those models can then output responses that are substantially similar to the original text. According to the complaint, Britannica claims GPT-4 has memorized much of its copyrighted content and can output near verbatim copies of significant portions on demand. They argue that these memorized examples are unauthorized copies used in training. This is part of a broader wave of copyright lawsuits. We've seen similar issues raised by news publishers, authors, and others, but Britannica and Merriam-Webster are especially symbolic because they've been trusted reference sources for decades. The outcome could shape what kind of training data is considered fair use, how memorization is defined in legal terms, and whether AI companies need to license or filter out more aggressively from high-value reference works. And notice how this fits into today's other stories. As AI factories and agent networks scale up, the pressure to lock down data rights, provenance, and allow uses is only going to increase. Story 10. AI poisoning scandal in China. Fake fitness tracker fools chatbots. Our last story brings us back to China and the darker side of the AI ecosystem. This news comes from the South China Morning Post Tech, published March 16, 2026. SCMP reports on an undercover investigation by state-run China Central Television (CCTV) into what they call AI poisoning. Here's what happened. They uncovered a practice where people use fabricated information and generative engine optimization (GEO), basically the AI era's version of SEO, to manipulate how AI chatbots respond. One example highlighted in the report was a fake fitness tracker that, through carefully crafted content and geo techniques, managed to fool multiple AI chatbots into treating it as a real, legitimate product. This raised a huge outcry in China, with public debate and concern around how easy it is to poison AI models with fabricated content, how GEO can game generative systems the way SEO gamed search engines, and what kinds of safeguards are needed so people aren't misled by AI-generated recommendations and profiles. Tie this back to Hong Kong's ClawNet and the Britannica lawsuit, and you see two sides of the same coin. On one side, right shoulders and regulators are worried about unauthorized use and memorization of legitimate content. On the other, we now have bad actors trying to push fake content into the training and retrieval pipelines to hijack AI outputs. Governance, content, authenticity, and trust are rapidly becoming as important as raw model performance. Pulling it all together. So, zooming out, what does today's news cycle tell us? From the South China Morning Post's coverage of ClawNet and AI poisoning, to CNET's reporting on NemoClaw and space data centers, to Engadget's deep dive into robotaxis, to The Verge's coverage of the Britannica lawsuit, and the NVIDIA and Hugging Face blogs on AI factories and healthcare robotics, a few themes are clear. 1. AI is going full stack, and industrial NVIDIA is building not just chips, but entire AI factories. Simulation platforms like DSX Air, healthcare and robotics stacks, AV stacks with Bolt, and even space-grade data center hardware. Companies like Roche are weaving AI into every layer of their operations. 2. Models are consolidating and specializing at the same time. Mistral Small 4 shows how one more model can unify instruction following, reasoning, and multimodal work. Perfect for powering complex agents without a mess of separate models. 3. Agents are the new apps. Hong Kong's ClawNet and NVIDIA's NemoClaw are two sides of the same evolution. Powerful autonomous agents are coming, and we need frameworks, governance, and infrastructure to build and control them. 4. Trust, rights, and safety are under serious pressure. The Britannica and Merriam-Webster lawsuit is about who owns the knowledge that models learn from. The AI poisoning scandal in China shows how easily bad data can distort AI outputs. These issues will shape how we regulate, license, and monitor AI systems globally. 5. AI is moving from screens into the physical world. Healthcare robots, robotaxis, and orbital AI data centers show that we're past the just chatbots phase. The next wave is physical AI, embodied AI, and infrastructure that spans Earth and space. If you want to read more, every story I mentioned is linked below. South China Morning Post, Tech on Hong Kong's ClawNet and AI poisoning in China, NVIDIA blog on Roche's AI factories and DSX Air, MarkTech posts AI news on Mistral Small 4, Hugging Face blog on physical AI for healthcare robotics, CNET Tech news on NemoClaw and NVIDIA's space data center plans, Engadget Tech news on the NVIDIA Bolt robotaxi partnership, The Verge AI on the Encyclopedia Britannica and Merriam-Webster lawsuit against OpenAI. That's it for today's AI Roundup for March 17th, 2026. If you found this breakdown useful, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, where we'll keep tracking how these AI factories, agent networks, and legal battles evolve. Let me know in the comments which of these stories you think will have the biggest impact: governed agent networks like ClawNet, AI factories in healthcare, or the copyright and poisoning fights around training data. You've been watching Now My Go channel. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.